Hello, I am David Twazin, and this is my presentation for my ANIPROJ finals. So, this is the title of my project. It's called James Junkie Joyously Gives. So, this project is about 18-year-old James Junkie who worked as an investor, which means he earns money for his family. However, in this project, something gets into conflict with providing for his family. Conflict happens to be poor family, desperate of their money. So, number one, we have empathy. So, all the ideas that are integrated in this project come from the four recorded interviews I have hosted. And like I said, all the ideas from the interviews are somehow embedded into this project so that the ideas can be like a story. And in a way, the story is basically an inspiration from the interviews I recorded. So, introduction. This story is all about James Junkie, who is 18 years old. He works as an investor from time to time. He is optimistic and he is a hardworking young man. In his job, he likes to earn money for his parents by working hard. So from time to time, he works hard, and each time he works, he always gets paid. And he uses that money not just for himself, but also for his parents, so that the parents will be able to provide for each other and James himself without struggling a bit or without having a bit of difficulty in their life. So these are the emphatic interviews I have recorded. So, of course, I obviously cannot show the whole recorded interviews because it's going to be too long and it's not really necessary for the project. But to show you some proof of the interviews that I recorded, I'm just going to place them here in this slide so that it's proof that I recorded the sessions after all. So, given the interviews that I've recorded and hosted, I was able to get a lot of ideas. But the ones jotted down here are the significant ones. To name a few, I can name some and give you some descriptions about each. So, poverty is a state of community. So, I mean, yes, of course. We all know that poverty is something that families encounter in life. Just like with people being rich, only it's opposite. And of course, it goes without saying that their financial standings are usually low in that case, which means they don't have enough money and they cannot afford for the provisions they need. They cannot afford for their loved ones. So, yes. And usually, those who are in poverty are in lower class, while those who are not in poverty are in the higher class. It also goes without saying as well. So, aside from being a state of community, poverty is also when a group of people live in an unstable community state. For target audiences, of course, this project will mainly rely on poor families. So it'll be about parents and children of all ages in terms of the children. So here are my personas. So this is James Junkie, the main protagonist. He is 18 years old. He works as the investor, working for his mother, Lacey Junkie, who is 56, and his father, Julius Junkie, who is 60 in age. Both parents are also business workers, but James does more of their work since these two are getting old. So, how might we statement? How might we help our community when suffering in the middle of a poverty stricken situation so that poor families will be able to afford for their loved ones and our community will be free of lacking life importances. So, of course, there are so many ways to help, such as, like I said earlier, giving charity and donating some of the money we don't need, because, like I said, not many money can bring joy. Too much of a good thing isn't always a good thing. So, what are the objectives for this project? Well, let's see. To help James have enough earned money for the poor and his family in the same case, because James, he's the one working for his parents, but ever since he encountered the poor family, he can't decide whether to keep working for his parents or begin working for the poor family at the same time. So James only has two arms and he's just one person, so he cannot do two things at once or he doesn't know how. That's why another objective is to help Lacey assist her son in earning, since he, or James, is the one working to earn for them. When Lacey helps, James will struggle less in his job as an investor. In other words, he'll probably no longer struggle in his job as an investor. And another objective is for Julius, the dad, to assist his wife and son in their respective works so that they can be on their way struggle free. So while James and Lacey and Julius do struggle in their works, for James because he cannot do two things at once, and for Lacey and Julius, they're getting old. That's why when they work together, the easier it is for them to uh, earn together and look for ways to split money, or I mean, split their time so that there'll be time when James earns for his parents, and there are times when he earns for the poor family. Theoretical framework. So James is struggling to make ends meet when it comes to donating to the poor, and at the same time providing for his family. So how can James do both at the same time without struggling so that he and his family, as well as the poor, can stay happy? Because James, he works every week, Mondays to Fridays. And with James working for only his parents, life is easy. However, with having to work for the poor family at the same time, it becomes harder for James as he feels he needs to take the extra work. So how can James avoid taking the extra work, but still make himself and his parents happy, and the poor family too? So pegs and references would come from these three cartoons. The city backgrounds occur from that of Mission Hill and that of Paradise PD, since they both have big cities in them, and a city that's where James and his family reside, as opposed to the screenshot from Big City Greens, where the poor family lives. And like I said, the project is about poverty and how to resolve it. So how can the poor family, in a way, stop residing in their old house and maybe get a better house and live a better life? So here's my idea. So the proposed name of the film would be Sharing is Caring. Now, while Sharing is Caring is a general name, it has a deeper meaning inside. It means the more you share, it shows that you care. Not always thinking about yourself, being selfless, and making the world a better place, letting other people live happy and better lives. So, blueprint and plans. Story pitch. James is going through the same routine every week. He goes to his office, which is located on the ground floor of the apartment of he and his parents, and he works from time to time, earning money for his mommy and daddy. But one day, when James encounters a poor family who is unable to afford for provisions for each other with their loss of money, James decides to work for the poor family too. But it eventually goes into conflict because James works for his parents. So how can he work for the poor family at the same time? Knowing he cannot do both at once, James is beginning to enter a very stressful dilemma. Will James ever be able to do both so that he and his family and the poor can stay happy and struggle free? Well, we don't know what to expect, but let's hope the best for James. So, a scramble script would be the poor mother kindly and politely asking James for help. And James agrees to help, but at the same time, he needs to learn to adjust. Like he cannot do two things at once. So he needs to adjust so that he doesn't get into a conflict or a dilemma. And for my story flow, it goes like this. So number one, James endures the same routine. And number two, James encounters the poor family who asks for his help. And number three, James cannot decide whether to earn for the poor or his parents. Number four, his very understanding and comforting parents help him by trying to work for him or to work with him. And number five, there will be times when James works for the poor and his parents earn for each other. And James, and there will be times when they switch. Like James will be the one earning for his parents, and his parents will be the one earning for the poor. And everyone will be happy with the money they have. Those people being James and his parents and the poor family. So as you can see here, here are some character sheets featuring James and his mother Lacey, who I gave a different design to, and Julius, the dad, also went through a design change, and the poor mother, who is the main victim of the project, and the poor woman's husband, whom I drew on the cover page of my PowerPoint, and the youngest son, whose name remains anonymous. For concept art, one features James giving money to the poor little boy, followed by another concept artwork of Lacey giving a shopping bag with groceries to the poor mother as provisions so that the mother will have plenty to go around. And for the dad, Junkie, he gives the poor father a hug and assures him that if he gets the opportunity to invite the poor father and mother and their son, the poor boy, they'll treat the poor family as if they were part of their family. So, target distribution channels, mostly investors like James himself. They're the target distribution channels because of James' occupation. So they are the key audience for the project. So that is all I can say for now. And I want to say thank you to you, Sir Dan, for this subject, despite some stresses. That's all for now. Thank you.